Welcome to a deep dive into the world of AI, but not just all the shiny futuristic promises you usually hear about. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of why so many companies, despite investing heavily in AI, are struggling to see those game-changing results.
Hmm.
Our guide for today is a research report from Cognition.Info.
Okay.
It's titled AI Integration Stalled by Silos. Break Down the Walls.
Interesting.
Sounds a bit dry, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to actually making AI work for a business. Ready to unravel this AI mystery with me?
Absolutely. And to kick things off, let's start with a number that'll blow your mind. $13 trillion. That's how much McKinsey predicts AI could add to the global economy by 2030.
Whoa.
But there's a major roadblock standing in the way, and you guessed it, it's those pesky organizational silos.
Okay, rewind for a second. We've all seen the hype around AI companies throwing money at it, brilliant minds working on it, the potential to completely transform businesses. It all sounds incredibly exciting, but then the report paints a different picture. It's like companies hit a wall after those initial pilot projects. They're stuck, and the culprit seems to be these organizational silos. So help me understand this. What exactly are silos in this context? I mean, it's not like we're talking about literal grain silos, right?
Right, it's much more nuanced than that. Think of it this way. Imagine a company where different departments are like separate islands, each with its own treasure chest of data, processes, and even ways of thinking. They might as well be speaking different languages. These barriers, these silos, prevent the free flow of information and collaboration, which is absolutely crucial for AI to work its magic.
Okay, now that's an image that makes sense. So you've got a marketing team with its customer data, a sales team with its sales figures, and a product development team with its, well, product knowledge. And none of them are really talking to each other, even though AI needs all that information to be effective.
Exactly. It's like trying to bake a cake with the flour in one room, the eggs in another, and the oven in a completely different building. You might technically have all the ingredients, but good luck getting a delicious cake out of that situation.
So what makes AI particularly vulnerable to these silo effects? I mean, surely companies have always had departments, haven't they?
You're right, departmentalization isn't new,
Hmm.
but AI brings its own unique set of challenges.
Okay.
Firstly, AI is a data-hungry beast. It needs vast, diverse data sets to learn and make accurate predictions, and that data often lives in different parts of the organization. Without access to the whole picture, AI is essentially working with one hand tied behind its back.
Right. So it's not just that these departments aren't collaborating, it's that AI needs that collaboration to function effectively.
Precisely. And the second challenge is that the most valuable AI applications are inherently cross-functional. Think about optimizing a customer journey. You need data from marketing, sales, customer service, even product development. Or imagine using AI to manage risk across an entire enterprise that requires insights from finance, operations, legal, and compliance. Silos create bottlenecks that prevent these truly transformative AI solutions from taking shape.
You know what really brings this home? A statistic from Gartner. AI initiatives that use company-wide data are 340% more accurate than those confined to a single department. That's not just a marginal improvement, that's a game changer. But here's the thing, knowing the problem is only half the battle. Why are these silos so darn persistent? It can't just be that companies haven't realized they're an issue, right?
It's definitely more complex than that. Think about how most large organizations have grown organically over time. They add departments, systems, and processes, and those don't always play nicely together. It's like building a house one room at a time without a master blueprint. You might end up with a functional space, but it's not going to be the most efficient or beautiful design.
Right, and I imagine there are other factors at play, like the way companies are structured often rewards people for protecting their own turf rather than collaborating openly, right?
Mm.
No one wants to be the person who gave away the secret sauce that made their department successful, even if it could benefit the entire company in the long run.
You hit the nail on the head. There's this ingrained sense of competition between departments, almost like they're vying for resources and recognition. And this often leads to hoarding data and knowledge, which, as we've discussed, is like kryptonite for AI initiatives.
So we've got historical factors, misaligned incentives, and a dash of good old-fashioned human nature all contributing to these persistent silos. It sounds like a recipe for disaster, especially when it comes to harnessing the full potential of AI. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? The report offers some solutions, a way out of this silo-induced AI paralysis. Tell me there's hope.
There is. The report introduces a framework called the Connected AI Framework, which acts like a roadmap for breaking down these barriers and unlocking the true power of AI. And it's not just about quick fixes or technological band-aids, it's about fundamentally changing the way organizations operate.
Okay, color me intrigued. This connected AI framework, what does it actually involve? What are some of the key things companies need to consider?
It's built around 8 interconnected elements, and what's fascinating is you can't just cherry pick a few. It's about creating a whole ecosystem where different parts of the organization work together seamlessly like a well-oiled machine.
All right, walk me through a few of these elements. Give me a taste of what this connected approach actually looks like in practice.
But one of the most crucial elements is the idea of cross-functional teams. Instead of having data scientists working in isolation, you bring them together with business experts, people from the front lines who understand the real-world challenges, and even those who might be impacted by the AI solutions. It's about getting everyone on the same page from the get-go.
Ah, so it's not just about having technical expertise, it's about having a diverse range of perspectives and experiences in the room. I can see how that would lead to more robust and impactful AI solutions. What else is in this connected AI toolkit?
Another vital aspect is establishing something called integrated AI governance. It sounds a bit technical, but essentially it's about having a clear vision for how AI fits into the overall business strategy and a system for making decisions about AI investments that benefit the whole company, not just individual departments.
That makes sense. You don't want departments going off on tangents, wasting resources on projects that don't align with the company's bigger goals. It's about making sure everyone is rowing in the same direction, so to speak.
Exactly. And then there's the enterprise data strategy, which might sound like a snooze fest, but it's actually super important. This is about breaking down those data silos we talked about earlier and making information accessible across the organization in a secure and responsible way. Think of it as building a central nervous system for your company's data, where information can flow freely to where it's needed most. This is the foundation upon which powerful, insightful AI can be built.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but let's get real for a second. Are there any companies actually doing this successfully? I mean, these are pretty significant organizational changes, right?
There are. The report highlights several case studies of companies that have successfully implemented elements of the framework, and the results are pretty impressive. Want to hear about a couple?
Absolutely. Let's hear about those real-world success stories.
All right, so picture this, a financial institution drowning in redundant AI projects. Different departments were essentially trying to solve the same problems with different tools and data sets. It was a classic case of the left hand not knowing what the right hand was doing, and it was costing them time, money, and missed opportunities.
Sounds like a recipe for frustration both for the people involved and the company's bottom line. What did they do to turn things around?
They took a bold step and created a one AI governance model. Think of it like an air traffic control tower for all their AI initiatives. They formed an AI executive council with leaders from all the major departments, and this council had the authority to make decisions about all AI investments over a certain budget. No more rogue projects or competing agendas. They also established a central system for tracking all AI projects and measuring their impact, ensuring that resources were being allocated to the initiatives that were truly moving the needle for the entire company.
So they essentially centralized decision-making and created a system for accountability across the organization. But did it actually work? Were they able to break down those silos and get everyone on the same page?
It was a resounding success. This centralized approach helped them slash the number of redundant AI projects by a staggering 64%, freeing up resources to focus on initiatives that actually benefited the whole company. And the projects that did get funded, they were 218% more likely to deliver benefits across the entire enterprise. Talk about a return on investment.
Wow, that's a remarkable turnaround. They went from a chaotic mess of competing projects to a streamlined, strategically aligned AI powerhouse. I'm starting to see the power of this connected AI framework in action. You have another example up your sleeve?
Absolutely. This one comes from the world of retail, where, as you know, the customer experience is everything. This particular organization was facing a classic problem. Their online and in-store experiences were totally disconnected. It was like two different companies operating under the same brand, and customers were getting frustrated. They might see a product online, go to the store to check it out, and find it's out of stock, or the price is different. Not exactly a recipe for customer loyalty.
I've definitely been there as a shopper. It's incredibly frustrating when a company's online presence doesn't match up with their in-store reality. It feels like they don't really care about my experience as a customer. So how did this retailer address the issue? Did they try to throw AI at the problem?
They did, but they were smart about it. They launched an initiative called Connected Retail AI, and the key to their success was forming cross-functional teams from the get-go. They brought together data scientists with merchandising experts, store staff who interacted with customers daily, and even customer experience designers. It was about creating a holistic view of the customer journey, understanding all the touch points, and then figuring out how AI could help bridge the gaps.
So they were breaking down those silos right from the start, ensuring that everyone involved had a shared understanding of the problem and a stake in the solution. That's a really interesting approach. What kind of results did they see? Were they able to create a more seamless experience for their customers?
The results speak for themselves. By combining the power of AI with the insights of their cross-functional teams, they were finally able to bridge the gap between the online and in-store experiences. They developed AI-powered solutions that personalized recommendations across channels, so customers were seeing relevant products whether they were browsing online or walking through the aisles. They optimized inventory based on real-time demand, so those frustrating stock discrepancies became a thing of the past. And they even provided sales associates with customer insights, giving them a 360-degree view of each shopper so they could offer more personalized service in the store.
It sounds like they were finally thinking about the customer journey as a whole, not just isolated touch points. And by empowering their employees with the right information, they were able to humanize the shopping experience, even in the age of AI. That's a powerful combination. Did these changes have a positive impact on their bottom line?
Absolutely. They saw a 24% increase in customer satisfaction scores, which is huge in the retail industry. And even more importantly, their conversion rates went up by 18%. So not only were their customers happier, they were also spending more money. It's a win-win situation.
It's amazing how much potential is unlocked when companies start thinking beyond those artificial boundaries that have separated departments for so long. These examples are really inspiring. It seems like the key takeaway here is that it's not just about implementing individual elements of the connected AI framework, but about creating a cohesive ecosystem where governance, data, teams, processes, and culture all work together in harmony. It's about creating an environment where AI can truly thrive and deliver on its transformative promises.
You got it. It's about moving beyond a piecemeal approach to AI implementation and embracing a more holistic, integrated strategy. The companies that are succeeding with AI are the ones that are breaking down those silos and creating a culture of collaboration where everyone is working together to achieve a common goal.
These stories are so inspiring. They really show that breaking down silos isn't just a technical challenge. It's about changing mindsets and creating a culture of collaboration.
Absolutely. And that's where those other elements of the connected AI framework come into play. We've talked about cross-functional teams, governance, and data strategy, but those are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole ecosystem to build.
You're right. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here. So, what are some of the other pieces of the puzzle that make up this connected AI framework? What else do companies need to consider to really make this work?
One element the report dives into is the importance of what they call boundary-spanning processes. It's not just about bringing people together, it's about actually redesigning workflows so they flow seamlessly across departments instead of getting stuck in handoffs or, lost in translation between teams.
So it's like re-engineering the entire organization to support collaboration from the ground up. It's not just about changing who sits in a meeting room, it's about changing how work actually gets done. But is that even possible? I mean, we're talking about large, complex organizations with established ways of doing things. It seems like a monumental task.
It definitely takes effort and commitment, but it's not an impossible dream.
Hmm.
The report actually gives a really compelling example from a healthcare organization that tackled this head-on.
Okay.
They completely redesigned their clinical workflows, moving away from the traditional siloed approach and focusing on what they call patient journeys.
Interesting. So instead of patients getting bounced around from one department to another, each with its own set of procedures and systems, they were trying to create a more holistic and integrated experience, one that was centered around the patient's needs and journey through the healthcare system.
Exactly. They used AI to support smooth transitions between specialties, inpatient and outpatient settings, and even different care facilities. Imagine a patient being discharged from the hospital, and the AI system automatically alerts their primary care physician, schedules follow-up appointments, and even coordinates with home health services if needed. It's all about creating a seamless, coordinated experience that's less stressful for the patient and ultimately leads to better outcomes.
That sounds like a game changer, not just for patients, but for healthcare providers as well. Did this move towards a more connected approach actually translate into tangible benefits?
The results are pretty remarkable. They were able to reduce the average length of stay for patients by 26%, which not only improves efficiency, but also frees up resources for other patients in need. And even more impressive, they saw a 31% jump in patient satisfaction scores. It's a testament to the fact that breaking down silos and creating a more connected approach can lead to better outcomes for everyone involved.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. Whether it's a financial institution streamlining its AI projects, a retailer creating a seamless customer experience, or a healthcare organization improving patient care. The common thread is this idea of breaking down those artificial barriers between departments and creating a more integrated, collaborative way of working. It's almost like these organizations are starting to operate more like living organisms, with different parts working together in harmony.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And to continue with that biological metaphor, the next element of the connected AI framework is all about fostering a collaborative culture. This goes beyond just structural changes or process redesign. It's about cultivating a mindset where people genuinely want to work together, where they see the value in sharing knowledge and resources, and where they're rewarded for their collaborative efforts.
That makes sense, but it also sounds incredibly challenging. It's one thing to redesign workflows or implement a new governance model, but how do you actually change people's behaviors and attitudes? How do you create that kind of cultural shift, especially in large organizations where people might be used to operating in their own little silos for years, even decades?
You're right, it's not a simple fix. It's a journey that requires commitment from leadership, a willingness to challenge the status quo, and a focus on creating an environment where collaboration is not just encouraged, but actively celebrated and rewarded. The report highlights a professional services firm that took this challenge head-on. They realized that their traditional compensation structure, where partners were primarily rewarded for the performance of their individual practice area, was actually incentivizing siloed behavior. So they did something pretty radical. They revamped their compensation structure so that a significant portion of partner bonuses was tied to company-wide performance.
Wow, that's a powerful statement. It's like saying, we're all in this together, and your success is linked to the success of the entire company, not just your own little fiefdom. I can imagine that created quite a stir among the partners.
There was definitely some pushback initially, but the leadership team was committed to the change and communicated the rationale clearly and consistently. They emphasized that this new approach was not about punishing individual achievement, but about aligning everyone's incentives with the long-term success of the firm. And to further reinforce the message that collaboration was valued, they implemented peer recognition programs where colleagues could nominate each other for contributions that went above and beyond to support cross-functional initiatives. They even created physical spaces specifically designed for cross-functional teams to work together, breaking down those physical barriers that often reinforce siloed thinking.
So it was a multi-pronged approach, addressing both the tangible and intangible aspects of culture change. It's not just about telling people to collaborate, it's about creating a system that rewards and recognizes that behavior, and even provides the physical space to make it happen.
Exactly. And this focus on fostering a collaborative culture is inextricably linked to the next element of the connected AI framework, a connected talent approach.
Yeah.
This is about moving beyond just hiring people with specific technical skills and starting to look for individuals who can work effectively across boundaries, who are comfortable navigating different perspectives, and who are passionate about solving problems collaboratively.
So it's not just about finding people who are good at their specific jobs. It's about finding people who can also connect the dots, bridge those gaps between departments, and work effectively with others who might have very different expertise and ways of thinking. It's almost like looking for cultural translators who can help break down those silos from within. How did companies go about finding and nurturing this kind of talent?
It requires a shift in mindset, both in terms of recruitment and development. The report mentions a tech company that took a really innovative approach to this. They created a program where high-potential employees could do short-term rotations in different departments, giving them a taste of what it's like to work in different parts of the organization, building relationships with colleagues from different backgrounds, and developing a broader understanding of the company's operations. It's like giving them a crash course in cross-functional collaboration.
I love that. It's like a cross-pollination program for talent. It not only helps individuals develop a more well-rounded perspective, but also helps break down those silos by creating personal connections and shared experiences across the organization.
And it goes beyond just rotations. They also implemented training programs specifically designed to develop what they called translational skills, the ability to communicate effectively across different domains, to bridge the language barriers between technical experts and business stakeholders, and to synthesize information from diverse sources. They even started evaluating candidates for their collaborative capabilities during the hiring process, recognizing that this was just as important as technical proficiency.
It sounds like they were baking collaboration into their entire talent strategy, from recruitment to development to performance management. It's not just an afterthought, it's a core value that's embedded in everything they do.
Absolutely. And it's this kind of holistic approach that sets successful organizations apart in the age of AI. It's not enough to just have the technology. You need the right people with the right skills working together in the right environment.
Okay, we've talked about creating cross-functional teams, establishing clear governance, democratizing data access, redesigning processes, fostering a collaborative culture, and even rethinking talent strategies. It's a pretty comprehensive list. There's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really touched on yet: implementation. How do companies actually move beyond those initial pilot projects and scale their AI solutions across the entire enterprise? That's where a lot of companies seem to get stuck, right? They have some early success, but then they struggle to replicate that at scale.
You've hit upon a critical challenge. The report refers to this as the need for a scaled implementation methodology, which is a fancy way of saying that you need a plan, a roadmap for how you're going to take those promising AI solutions and roll them out across the entire organization. It's about thinking about scalability right from the start, not just as an afterthought. The report highlights a manufacturing company that took a really interesting approach to this. They created something called an enterprise AI factory, which might sound like a scene out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually a really clever concept.
Okay, tell me more about this AI factory. What does that actually look like in practice?
Think of it as a centralized hub, a center of excellence for AI development and deployment. They brought together a team of data scientists, engineers, and business experts and tasked them with developing a clear methodology for moving from pilot to enterprise deployment. They established specific criteria that had to be met at each stage, ensuring that solutions were not only technically sound, but also aligned with business goals, feasible to implement, and likely to be adopted by the end users. They weren't just throwing things over the wall and hoping for the best.
So it's like a roadmap for scaling AI in a structured, repeatable way. It takes the guesswork out of the process and creates a system for ensuring that solutions are actually delivering value at every stage.
Yeah.
But even with a clear methodology, wouldn't you still run into those pesky silos? How do they ensure that different departments would actually buy into these solutions and adopt them?
They were very strategic about this. They established a council with representatives from all the major functions, and this council had the authority to allocate resources for cross-functional expansion. So it wasn't just the AI team pushing their solutions onto unsuspecting departments. It was a collaborative effort with everyone having a voice and a stake in the process.
So they were breaking down those budget silos as well. It sounds like they really thought through all the potential roadblocks and created a system that would support collaboration at every level.
Exactly. And to make the implementation process even smoother, they created something called implementation playbooks, detailed documents outlining the best practices for deploying specific AI solutions across different parts of the organization. This helped them to avoid reinventing the wheel every time they wanted to scale a new solution. It's like having a recipe book for AI implementation with clear instructions and lessons learned from previous deployments.
That sounds incredibly efficient. It takes the guesswork out of the process and allows teams to learn from each other's experiences.
And they didn't stop there. They recognized that even with the best technology and the clearest processes, you still need to bring people along on the journey. So they had dedicated teams focused on supporting adoption, addressing concerns from different departments, and providing training to ensure that everyone understood how to use these new AI tools effectively.
That's so smart. It's not enough to just build the technology. You have to bring people along on the journey and make sure they understand the benefits, how it will impact their work, and how to use it to their advantage. It's about creating a sense of ownership and excitement, not just forcing new tools on people who don't understand them.
You're absolutely right. And they took it a step further by creating a network of what they called AI ambassadors. Passionate individuals from each department who championed the solutions, helped to drive implementation across the organization, and acted as liaisons between the AI team and their respective departments. They were the boots on the ground, the evangelists for change, helping to build excitement and momentum for these new ways of working.
Wow, that's a really comprehensive approach. They address the technical aspects, the process aspects, and the human aspects of scaling AI. It sounds like they pulled out all the stops to ensure that their AI initiatives would succeed. Did all this effort actually pay off? Were they able to scale their solutions effectively?
They did. They were able to scale one of their AI solutions from just 2 pilot plants to a whopping 47 global facilities in just 8 months. And here's the kicker. They saved $78 million in the process. Talk about a return on investment.
That's incredible. Not only did they achieve widespread adoption, but they also realized significant cost savings. It's a powerful testament to the value of taking a holistic, connected approach to AI implementation.
And the key takeaway here is that it's not just about implementing these individual elements of the framework, but about creating a truly integrated approach.
So it's like weaving all these different threads together to create a strong, cohesive fabric, one that can support the weight of these transformative AI initiatives.
Exactly. That's what separates the companies that truly thrive in the age of AI from those that just dabble. It's about commitment, it's about collaboration, and it's about willingness to challenge the way things have always been done.
You know, it's funny, we often talk about AI as this disruptive force that's going to change everything. But maybe the real disruption needs to happen within our organizations first.
That's a really insightful point. Maybe the biggest barrier to AI adoption isn't the technology itself, but our own outdated ways of thinking and working.
It's like we're trying to fit this square peg of AI into the round hole of traditional organizational structures.
And it's not just about AI. Breaking down silos can unlock so much potential in other areas as well. Innovation, customer experience, employee engagement, the list goes on and on. It's about creating a more connected, agile, and human-centered organization, one that's better equipped to thrive in this rapidly changing world.
Precisely. This whole conversation has really highlighted that it's not just about implementing AI for AI's sake. It's about fundamentally rethinking how we work together, how we share information, and how we make decisions as organizations. It's about creating a culture of collaboration where everyone feels empowered to contribute their unique perspectives and expertise.
Couldn't agree more. The tools and frameworks are out there, like this connected AI framework we've been discussing. What we need now is the courage to challenge the status quo and start building the organizations of the future. Organizations that are more than just the sum of their parts, but truly interconnected, intelligent, and adaptable.
And it's not just about efficiency or productivity, although those are certainly important benefits. It's about creating a more fulfilling and meaningful work experience for everyone involved. Imagine a workplace where people feel connected to a shared purpose, where they can collaborate freely with colleagues from different backgrounds, and where they can see the impact of their contributions on the organization as a whole.
That's a vision worth striving for. It's about unleashing the collective intelligence and creativity of an organization, breaking down those artificial barriers that limit our potential, and building something truly remarkable together.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful, and I hope it's inspired our listeners to take a closer look at their own organizations and start thinking about how they can break down those silos and unleash the power of collaboration.
I hope so too. Remember, the journey starts with a single step. Identify those silos, build awareness, get leadership on board, and start experimenting with new ways of working. The future belongs to those who are willing to connect, collaborate, and build a better world together.
Beautifully put. And on that inspiring note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery, and we hope you've gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own life and work.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries.
And keep breaking down those silos.
Goodbye.